Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 13, Episode 5. So let's get right into it. But before we do it, please don't forget to like and subscribe so that you won't miss any further videos. But without further ado, let's get into this review. So we begin with some brief footage of the women in their houses. Danielle is getting ready because she's planning a party for her little girl. It's going to be a Barbie themed party, so she's excited for that. But she does tell her husband that no one is going to be fighting at her party because she will go off. Rachel also has a family scene with her husband, kids, and her parents are there. Then we see Melissa. So she's talking to her kid, and they're talking about like the situation with the family and whatnot. But I didn't really like seeing that scene because honestly it seemed very fake, and it looked like she was just using her daughter for that scene, if that makes any sense. But up next, Teresa is with her daughters, but this one actually does seem much more genuine because they're going dress shopping. So she's trying some dresses, and as she's doing that, she gets emotional because she's so happy about getting married, but her parents won't be there because they passed away. So that is really sad. So she's with Melania and Gia, and even though they love their dad, they are still very happy for their mom, who's going to be with Louis now. So Teresa asks if Melissa talked to them at the last event, because remember they had that super awkward talk? And they said yeah, because they haven't really been together like as a whole family since last year. And they talked about Joe, and one of them asked if he's coming, and Teresa says, well, I'm sure he's coming, of course. And it's funny because Melania is like, well, if he doesn't come, then that's it. Like, it has gone too far. And I mean, hindsight, we know that he didn't end up going. Next up, Jennifer Aydin and Melissa are having lunch. They've never really gotten along, and like I said, hindsight, we know that currently they're not getting along. But let's just like focus on what's happening right now on the show. They talk about some of the issues that they've had, but they're trying to maybe move on in some way. And Jennifer then starts to talk about her marriage a little bit. And then she says that the reason she actually called Jen Fessler was for some marriage advice, but she blew it out of proportion and thought she was talking bad about Margaret. But in the chat, Margaret just ended up like being brought up, and that's why she even mentioned her. But she continues to talk to Melissa that Margaret is a flawed person who can't keep a friend, who has gone through so many friends. And this is the interesting part. Jennifer tells Melissa that she spoke to Laura, aka Margaret's old friend, and Laura told her that Margaret has been encouraging Melissa to leave Joe. And Melissa says, well, that's not true. She did mention something about a guy, about a basketball player, I think. But that was like back when her and Joe were going through issues in their marriage. Then there is an event that Jennifer Fessler is planning. The food looks great, by the way. It's like all like, you know, like comfort food. And her house also looks really nice. But she is a little anxious because she's seen the women get crazy and she doesn't really want that. So Margaret's the first to get there, then Melissa. So Melissa tells Margaret about the chat that she had with Jennifer Aydin the other day. And that makes Margaret super upset because she's thinking, why does she want to turn everyone against me? Jackie also goes, and like as soon as I saw her, I just wondered like how is it going to go with Danielle because they don't get along. And there was some tension, a little shade thrown, but nothing too big. But Danielle does start talking about her family, and then Melissa asks if she has finally talked to her brother, and she says no, because again, he was making fun of her on Instagram, which is something like really interesting to some of the ladies. Like Rachel thinks that it's odd that something so small caused like a family to be broken. Like she thinks it must be more. And even Dolores jokes around and says, is this like a new generation thing that Instagram breaks their family? They are all there. They're only waiting on Jennifer Aydin. And Melissa asks Dolores how she's doing with Jennifer, and she says that not great. But Jennifer eventually arrives. Jennifer Fessler gets up and makes a toast now that everybody is there. And everyone says, you know, you have a great house. Like, it's really nice. And she says, well, you know, I'm not one to brag. So then Jackie jokingly says, well, you're going to get along with Jennifer Aydin very well, which is like a joke because Jennifer Aydin loves to brag about her house and whatnot. So that makes Jennifer get just a little bit defensive, but Margaret jumps in because of the bone that she has to pick with her. So before you know it, they're going at it. And Margaret drops the bomb that she's been holding in and says, why are you trying to turn people against me? First Jennifer Fessler, now Melissa. And they're in a battle of words. And Marge says, whatever you said to Jennifer Fessler, guess what? She's gonna love me more. So there's really no point on doing that. And then, like I said, they keep going at it. And then Jennifer says, I have a family, which is something that you will never have. Which, do I think that was a low blow? Yes, I do. But what does Margaret do? Take another low blow and says, family? ? Well, you were the one who got cheated on, and this and that. And then Jennifer says that she's a terrible person. What kind of person would introduce a friend to someone to leave their husband, referring to what Laura told her about Melissa, which she and Melissa, of course, say that it's not true. But like I said, it's really intense fight between them. And Jennifer Fessler gets up and says, not at my house. Like, I have neighbors. I'm not going to have you guys be doing this. And she even throws a little shade because she says, this is not Teresa's house. I'm not going to let people act crazy. Which, of course, Teresa caught that, so she threw shade back. She was like, yeah, my house of 6 acres. Teresa is something else. But Jennifer was like, yeah, of course. Like, your house is beautiful, whatever. But the point is, you're not going to be fighting like this. Margaret is my friend. Sit down. And Jennifer, she asked her to leave. She said, very kindly, I'm going to need you to leave. And Jennifer says, okay. I mean, I wanted to leave anyway because she didn't feel comfortable. But then Teresa gets up and says, well, if Jennifer leaves, then I leave. Which, I mean, do I give her point for being a loyal friend? Because, I mean, I would want a friend to, if I was kicked out, to come with me. But then again, like, I don't know, like, just let her do her thing. Like, you don't have to be there with her all the time, you know? But yes, that little event was a total disaster. But then the final part of the episode is Danielle's party for her little girl. Like I said, it's Barbie themed, so it's like all pink and stuff, and the ladies do come. I think all of them came except Dolores and Margaret, but they're talking about the things that have been going on. And Rachel actually has a chat with Jennifer Aydin, which, if you guys remember from last episode, they got into a fight as well. But Jennifer says, you know what, I'm just like super like I'm honest, I'm straight up. And they seem to have like a pretty good conversation. But then Teresa joins, and eventually they end up talking bad about Margaret, which doesn't sit well with Rachel and Danielle, because, especially with Rachel, because she told them at the end of the day, I want to make my assertions of people based on how I interact with them, not based on what people, in that case, Teresa and Jennifer, are saying about them. Which I definitely do appreciate that from Rachel, because a lot of people look at people through like tinted lenses because of what others have said, and they get swayed by that. But I'm glad that she's saying, you know what, I'm going to make my own judgment based on how I interact with her, because all the things that they're accusing Margaret of, she hasn't seen yet. So that makes total sense. But you know what, they end up continuing with the party. They some of them brought their kids, and it's just a nice, light, fun way to end the episode. And that's pretty much all we got this episode. Next episode, they're going to have like some event at a baseball thing, so that's going to be interesting. But as far as this episode, like I said, that was all. Pretty explosive fight between Margaret and Jennifer. I really can't say who won, because they were both going at it really hard. But you guys let me know, what did you think of that fight? Do you think Margaret was coming from like a strong place of like saying, you know what, like I feel bad that you're talking to people about me? Or are you on Jennifer's side? Let me know your thoughts about this overall episode, and I'll catch you guys next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.